cabin up there where they had their line fence to keep the cattle in the summer up on the mountain on open range. And we got up there, and there's a place up there where the trail was no wider than this table. I mean, and off the edge it was 1,000, 1,500 feet, just a drop. And it was straight up on the other side. You couldn't go nowhere except you had to stay on that trail to go around this rim to get up on top. And we started up. And I still don't know how it happened because I was a couple of horses ahead. But anyway, Henry Petear's horse, pack horse, got turned around on that trail and started bucking, and everything we had on there, I could still see them tin plates sailing for a half a mile off that side. I mean, we went prepared to stay for maybe a week, and do some real wild horse chasing. Well, when it got to the drift fence, it couldn't go no farther. Well, we finally caught the horse. But we had oats, we had cans of beans, and every damn thing you can think of scattered for 3 miles down the mountain. Well, we got that round up, we got the horse round up, we got back up there, and we finally got up on top. And anyway, it started to get dark, and none of them guys had ever been into the lake beds before except me and that I was with. There's Benny Tolman, Johnny Tolman, George Sardella, and Henry Petear, and me. There was 5 of us.
How old were y'all?
I was 13 or 14, maybe, somewhere in that range. And anyway, we get up on top, and the trees up there in the lake beds, it's an old crater is what it is, And here them spruce, the limbs come clear to the ground, When it gets dark in here, I mean, it's dark, you can't see nothing. And so I wasn't sure I could find my way in there in the plumb dark. So I said, well, I know where there's a creek, a real nice spring creek. I said, we could water our horses there and we can tie them up. And you could tell it was going to rain. It was going to really rain hard, So I told them guys, I said, you guys better take your lariats and make wild horse hackamores and tie them up with that. You ain't going to have my horse ain't going to get away. So I took my rope and I made my thing and tied him up high enough on about a 4-inch diameter tree so that when he reared back, the tree would bend a little bit and pull him back up again. So my nephew Johnny and I, we said, boys, it's going to rain tonight. Let's build us a little shelter. So we found some broken limbs and stuff we could put together and make like a kind of an A-frame, and put some poles that we picked up out of the woods and put them across, and then across the creek there was you know what skunk cabbage is? Oh, well, anyway, there was a big patch of skunk cabbage, and it grows probably 4 or 5 feet tall. Got leaves like this on them, So we went and we chopped off a bunch of them skunk cabbages, and we put them on there like they would on Survivor. Stupid, We put them up on there. And we crawled in there to sleep that night. And then pretty soon it started raining. And Jesus, if we'd have went and laid down in the creek, we wouldn't have got any wetter. Them big leaves filled up with water. And when they got so much water, they let go. And they just drowned us in there. Well, finally we shimmered till it got daylight. And we got a fire going finally. Yeah, we did do that. And there's only 2 horses left. The other 4 horses are gone. The pack horse is gone. The other saddle horses are all gone. And I think, and Johnny Tolman's horse, I think maybe it was George Sardella. He probably made a rope hackamore because he pretty well followed my advice. Him and I were real good friends for years. But anyway, it's the first time I ever walked around in the clouds. The clouds was just straight tight to the ground, and it's just like walking around in the fog, walking around in a cloud.
Yeah.
So now we're out of horses. So we decided, well, we'll have to find them horses. So from Schuster's cabin, that was another cow camp, to Norris's cabin, that's about a 15-mile stretch, across the mountain. And well, we finally, by that night sometime, we got the horses rounded up, but they were scattered from Schuster's cabin to Norris's cabin. And we got them all rounded up, and we got into the lake beds. And the mosquitoes was so goddamn thick that you couldn't really breathe in there, you know. And so we built some fires, and we threw some green boughs on them to make a lot of smoke for a smudge spot. And we made a lean-to that night. We made a good lean-to.
No more skunk cabbage.
Not out of skunk cabbage, no. We made it out of spruce boughs. But we made a good one. Johnny and I did. The rest of them, they just slept out. So, anyway, when it come daylight, well, first of all, well, our stuff got scattered so bad across the mountain from that pack horse that we didn't have much to eat. I think we probably had maybe one can of beans and a can of cream style corn or something that we salvaged. So I told Johnny, I says, let's go get something for supper. But see, we always carried a fish line wrapped around our cowboy hat. This time nobody had one. But I had a .33 Winchester with me, got a 220 grain bullet. So I told them guys, I said, Johnny and I will go get us something to eat. Because the creek was kind of pretty low, you know, but there was holes here and there. And they were the most beautiful speckled trout you'd ever seen. They were almost pure blue in color, and they had a big black ring with a red spot in the center, beautiful trout. And so I told Johnny, I said, you get down there where the riffles are, and the water was maybe 2 inches deep there only. And I said, I'll go up here on this high bank where there's a hole that's got a bunch of trout congregated. And I said, I'll take my rifle and I'll shoot down into them and I'll stun a few of them and you throw them out on the bank. So I got on that high bank and I leaned out as far as I could with that .33 and shot into the water. And we had maybe 37 trout.
Really?
Yeah. And they did. They come upside down and backwards, and, you know, knocked out somewhere. You know, they were all stunned, you know. You can take a club and do the same thing, hit the water.
Really?
If you got them in a pool somewhere, you can walk up and you can take a club and just hit the water as hard as you can hit it, and you'll stun some of those trout. I got my breakfast lots of times that way, or supper. But well, anyway, so we took them up, and we fried up enough of them trout for supper, and we had quite a bunch left, so we hung them on a limb for breakfast. And we woke up in the morning and we got a fire started, and goddamn, I could hear a horse walking, and we were on a reservation. See, then we were on the opposite side of the ridge on a reservation, so I could hear this horse, and I looked, and pretty soon I could see the horse's leg, because the ground up there in the lake beds, when a horse walked on it, you could hear it was hollow underneath, you know. In fact, we almost lost a horse there one time. That way it went through that. It was just like quicksand underneath of it. So you had to be careful where you went. But anyway, this guy, he comes and he looks, and he recognized me because I worked for him at one time for a while building fence. He says, "Oh," he said, "it's you guys, huh?" He says, "I thought I had a bunch of cattle rustlers on my hands." I said, "No," I said, "we're just up here trying to catch a few wild horses." He said, "Well, come on over to my place." He says, I forget how many sections it was. It ran back into the reservation. He says, "You can catch all the damn horses you want there." He said, "I'd like to see them out of there." But we went home with no wild horses that time.
How does he remember something?
Because we spent too much time rounding up our own horses.
Rounding up your own horses that year and food and stuff.
Yeah.
That's some kind of gift.
But I learned not to build a skunk cabbage house to stay in if it was going to rain. And then finally Johnny came in looking for his horse leading it, and he had a 22 with him, and he come leading that horse in with a big jackrabbit, big white-tailed jackrabbit. So we gutted him and cleaned him and put him on a stick and roasted him over the fire, and we ate him.
Oh, Tony, I hate to have to go. We're going to have to get going. And I'll tell you one thing, it's been a wonderful experience. I see a little tired in your eyes now, too.
I have had a wonderful time.
Well, I could tell you guys a lot of stories for 5 days
Going forever.
and never get them all. I could tell